and now even the West wants in. In a move that has shocked the aviation world, President Ibrahim Traore has officially launched the first fully African-made airplane built proudly in Burkina Faso. With sleek design, powerful engines, and next-generation tech, this aircraft is one of the most advanced ever seen on the continent. The historic launch ceremony took place in Ouagadougou, where thousands gathered to witness the unveiling. Engineers, pilots, government officials, and ordinary citizens all stood in awe as the plane lifted into the skies for its first official test flight. It flew smoothly, quietly, and powerfully, sending a loud message to the world. Africa is no longer waiting, it's innovating. Early reports say the aircraft includes advanced fuel efficiency systems for long-range travel, smart navigation powered by AI, lightweight durable materials designed to last, and features rivaling and even surpassing popular Western models. The West is panicking. Sources reveal that several European and American aviation companies have already reached out, seeking to buy or partner with the Burkina Faso government to access the new tech. But insiders say Traore isn't easily moved by Western offers. He wants this victory to remain in African hands and benefit the African people first. In his speech, Traore said, "For too long we've watched the skies while others flew. Today, we take flight with our own wings, our own minds, our own hands. This is not just for Burkina Faso, this is for all of Africa." The launch has become a symbol of African pride, independence, and unstoppable innovation. Social media is exploding with support. Videos of the takeoff are going viral across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Many are calling this moment Africa's Wright brothers moment. Meanwhile, Western leaders are scrambling to understand how Burkina Faso, under sanctions and pressure, managed to develop something this advanced, this quickly. Some insiders suspect support from China and Russia played a role in providing technical and financial backing, a partnership Traore has been quietly building behind the scenes. Whatever the case, Africa has taken off, and there's no turning back.
No one believed it until the tarp fell. On a forgotten runway outside Ouagadougou, something happened that the world never saw coming. As the morning sun scorched the horizon, military trucks lined the field. The crowd stood frozen, cameras zoomed in, tension thickened, and then he walked out. Captain Ibrahim Traore, calm, controlled, determined. He didn't speak, he didn't smile, he just moved, straight toward the future. In front of him stood a massive shape under a military-grade tarp. Everyone knew something was coming, but no one imagined this. With one sharp gesture, the cover was yanked away, and the earth stood still. A full-sized airplane gleamed under the African sun, draped in the red, green, and gold of Burkina Faso. A real plane, built in Africa, born in defiance. The crowd erupted, tears, fists in the air, knees hitting the ground. It wasn't just metal and engines. It was a message. Africa no longer crawls. We fly. This wasn't second-hand junk from Paris. This wasn't charity from Washington. This wasn't leased pride. This was 100% Burkinabe power, designed, built, and unveiled under Western radar. For decades, they told us we couldn't. They laughed when we tried. They sabotaged when we dreamed. And yet, here it was, proof that we no longer need permission. Traore walked up to the aircraft like a general approaching his flagship. He placed his hand on the body and stared down the cameras. His words, "This is our new beginning. Africa will fly with or without you." They laughed. They called him a dreamer. Some said it was impossible. Others whispered he'd never live to see it happen. But while the world mocked, Traore was building. Not in Paris, not in Washington, but in the heart of Africa, hidden deep inside a restricted zone outside Ouagadougou, surrounded by fences, drones, and silence. A secret facility, a ghost project, a silent revolution in metal and fire. There were no press releases, no IMF contracts, no Western partners. Just a handful of engineers, soldiers, and foreign technicians, handpicked, loyal, invisible. They worked at night. Blueprints were printed underground. Materials came in crates with no labels, routed through 4 different countries. Every move hidden from foreign satellites. every part tracked by soldiers sworn to secrecy. The brains behind the wings? A coalition the West never saw coming. Burkina engineers trained in Moscow, aviation experts flown in quietly from Iran, North Korean metallurgists, masters of stealth design. Together they formed a triangle of resistance, anti-Western, pro-sovereignty, and untraceable. And the funds? Not a dollar came from the World Bank, no strings from the EU. The financing was pure, African gold. Traore diverted mining revenues from corrupt intermediaries and funneled it straight into this project. No middlemen, no debt, no compromise. Months passed. The structure took shape. First a cockpit, then the wings, then the roar of an African-made engine echoing through the hangar for the first time in history. No Western nation believed it was possible, and that was the plan all along. Build it in silence, launch it in shock. Traore's order was clear. Do not announce it. Let them find out when it's already in the sky. And that's exactly what happened. By the time Western intelligence caught a whiff of what was coming, the plane was already taxiing toward takeoff. The news hit like a lightning bolt. Within minutes of the unveiling, images of the plane exploded across African social media. Twitter lit up. TikTok danced with celebration. And across the continent, one message echoed louder than all others. We built it ourselves. From Dakar to Kinshasa, from Bamako to Nairobi, people took to the streets, dancing, clapping, crying. Not because it was just a plane, but because it was proof. Proof that Africa can build, innovate, and rise without begging. In Ghana, students waved Burkina flags from university rooftops. In Mali, crowds gathered outside radio stations, chanting Traore's name. In Niger, local newspapers called it the dawn of a new African era. Even in South Africa, politicians congratulated Burkina Faso for what they called the most defiant act of technological sovereignty since decolonization. But while Africa celebrated, the West froze. At Boeing's headquarters in the US, internal memos warned of an emerging nationalist tech bloc in Africa. Airbus executives reportedly held a closed-door emergency meeting in Toulouse, and in Paris, silence, deafening silence. The French media didn't know how to cover it. Le Monde cautiously called it symbolic. BFM TV labeled it unexpected. But behind closed doors, the tone was different. A leaked French defense report described the event as a geopolitical rupture. Washington wasn't any calmer. US intelligence flagged the aircraft's technology as non-Western origin. Analysts raised alarms. Could this be the first of many? What happens if Mali builds the next one? What if a unified African aerospace project emerges? Funded outside the IMF, trained outside NATO, and aligned with Moscow or Pyongyang? The panic was real, because this wasn't just a plane. It was a declaration. Africa is no longer your playground. And Traore, he didn't blink, he didn't respond. He simply watched the reactions pour in and began planning the next launch. This plane is not just about metal, fuel, and flight. It's about dignity. It's about a continent reclaiming what was stolen, mocked, and ignored for generations. Because for over a century, Africa was told to wait, told to borrow, told to beg for planes, for engineers, for access to the skies. Every African airport echoed with the sound of foreign-built aircraft. Every aviation deal came with conditions, with debt, with dominance. But today, that chain was broken. Not with words, but with wings. Traore's plane isn't a product, it's a message. To the West, we no longer need your permission to rise. To the African youth, you are not too poor to build, you are too powerful to stay small. To the world, this is only the beginning. This wasn't just a Burkina achievement, it was Pan-African, because every African saw themselves in that aircraft. Every child who ever dreamed of flying, every student studying science with no lab, every young mind told they were too poor, too black, too African to create.